We're going to start to look at some of the pranayama techniques now. Let's just recap so that we are on the same page. Prana is energy. It is the life force. Ayama is the lengthening thereof. Yama, if you would like to take that even further, is the restraint or the practice thereof. So there's a discipline involved here. So essentially, pranayama means that we are lengthening or extending our vital life energy, the vital life force within us that we are also taking in from the environment around us. So it is said that practicing pranayama, one can reach a state of self-realization known as samadhi in the yogic texts. Another way of thinking about this is enlightenment, if that is your goal. Your goal might just be for health and vitality, which will also be a resulting factor of pranayama. So we want to cleanse the energy channels known as the nadis, so that the prana, this life force, can be directed up the central energetic column. This is the Sushumna nadi, the main one. So this also is through the chakras, and eventually it will connect to the cosmic consciousness. So again, this is taking yoga to the more spiritual understanding from the theory and the philosophy of yoga. So we want to remove the impurities, whether we are looking at pranayama as a spiritual technique or just a technique for health and well-being. That's the idea. We're removing the blockages by working directly on the energy body through the practice of pranayama, working with the breath. This will also then take the impurities away from the body and the mind. So we'll be able to be in a state that is more sattvic, which is a word used from the sister science Ayurveda. And this means that we will be pure, clean, and peaceful on all levels. So pranayama practice focuses on removing impurities from the central energetic column in the absolute. The benefits are endless. Not only does it increase the endorphin level, it also balances hormones and chemicals in the blood. It's especially relevant in a very busy, stressful, and the chaotic world that we live in at the moment, especially if you find your life is that. Pranayama will assist to eliminate pain, anxiety, and fear. The yogi said that we've only been allocated a certain number of breaths for this life. So if we can expand the breath, we will breathe less of our allocated breaths per day, thereby not only lengthening our breathing cycle and calming our minds, but also living more healthier days and a longer, vibrant life. Because the practice of pranayama requires a subtle awareness, it should not be performed after eating or drinking, because our energy is then dispersed into digestion. And the energies are being focused then somewhere else, where we want to really bring them into the awareness of the subtle nature of the energy body. So the body should be well prepared, and the seat or the asana should be steady and comfortable. Those are the prerequisites: lengthened spine, relaxed muscles, soft features. Remember that the breathing cycle has 4 parts, and these are what we're going to be shifting and changing, lengthening, shortening during our pranayama practice. We have the inhalation, known as puraka. We have the pause after the inhalation, kumbhaka. We have the exhalation, known as vichaka, and then we have another pause after the exhalation, also kumbhaka. So the pauses are kumbhaka. Then in between the pauses, we have an inhalation and an exhalation. Now, we are largely interested in the kumbhaka, the pause, because this is where essentially it's breath retention, life force retention. And so we can harness that vital life force energy while we pause. So kumbhaka in pranayama occurs during the pauses, where there should be no change to the body from the outside posture. It is at this point, during the kumbhaka, during the pause, during the retention, that mahabandha is performed. Mahabandha means the activation of 3 main locks around the energy column in a certain order, and then a deactivation of them, a releasing in a particular order, all within this pause, this breath retention of kumbhaka. So the activating will be the Mula Bandha, the root lock, through to the Uddiyana Bandha, the diaphragm lock, through to the Jalandhara Bandha, the chin lock. The deactivating thereof will just reverse from the top down. Jalandhara, Uddiyana Bandha, and Mula Bandha. So therefore we can say that 1 round of true pranayama includes inhalation, puraka, Kumbhaka with Mahabandha. So breath retention with the locks activated in that order from the bottom up. Releasing Mahabandha from the top down. And then Richaka, or the exhalation. Then we have Kumbhaka again. This is the natural pause without retention. So most of the time we are actually engaging our Mahabandha after the inhale. Sometimes on the exhale, but most of the time on that pause after the inhale, because we've taken in air, which includes life force energy, and now we want to work there with harnessing it while it's inside the body. The number of repetitions of pranayama should slowly be increased, slowly, keeping a specific ratio given to the practitioner by the technique or over time by a teacher. And it is advisable that if you're practicing this, to have somebody to check in with on the most basic level, and then under a very conducive and supportive level to actually work with a teacher. So the inhalation and the exhalation are going to vary depending on the technique. The specific way of Kumbhaka, though, of the breath retention is the same for all of the traditional 8 techniques listed in the ancient text that gives us these techniques of pranayama. It's called the yoga or the hatha yoga pradipika. So I'm going to say these now. Maybe they are just Sanskrit words to you. Maybe some of them are familiar. These 8 are Surya Bedana, Ujjayi, Sitkari, Sitali, Bastrika, Brahmari, Murcha, and Plavini. We will only look at a few of these, and then also how to apply the understanding of traditional pranayama techniques to the alternate nostril breath, because you would have noticed from that list that Nadi Shodhana, the alternate nostril breathing, is not a traditional one in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. However, we will create it. All of these are practiced with this Mahabandha, the great lock, during the breath retention.